Hello, amazing artists. So, this week and for the next couple weeks, we're going to be learning about elements of art. The elements of art are essential for any artist. They're like the ingredients that are inside art, or like the building blocks, the things that make up your art piece or any art piece. So, we're going to be spending some time over the next couple weeks, and as we learn more about the identity of an artist, to really understand these elements of art. We're going to watch a video on YouTube and then we're going to take our own turn making something similar to what we see. So let's check out this video and then we'll talk about it and learn about it some more.
Essential ingredients, building blocks for artwork are the 7 elements of art. Line, shape, value, texture, color, space, form. We're going to use different tools to make them today. Pencils, an eraser, colored pencils, scissors, paper, and glue, and the back of the paper for notes. So let's get started with the elements of art. The first one being line. Line is a path of a moving point through space. A point is just a dot. It has no dimensions. However, we can think of it like moving a couch around with a friend, is that a line traces the path of that point as we move it. So we might go horizontally, left to right. We might go vertically, up and down. You might even draw a diagonal line going both ways. Zigzag going up and down the stairs, curvy as you drop it down the stairs, jagged lines, dotted lines, dashed lines, spiral lines. These all have endpoints. These are lines that trace the path of a single point through space. In the first box, go ahead and draw at least 5 different lines, thick, thin, but a variety.
All right, friends. So for this first part, we are going to be getting our papers ready and we're going to be practicing some of those lines that we just saw. So we heard him talking about vertical, diagonal, horizontal, zigzag, all different types of lines. So on my paper right here, I prepared it similar to how he did, and I have a box for lines. So I'm going to start. Some horizontal lines, verticals, zigzag and diagonal, diagonal. Those are also parallel. They go right next to each other. They don't cross. Curvy. Also, you might want to have some that are thick, some that are thin, some that are medium. Might want to have dash or dot or dash and dot. So here's just the dash. Here's the dot. Fill that up with line. Let's see what's next.
Variety of lines that then we can use to create our next element of art, shape. A two-dimensional, 2 dimensions is flat, flatter than even this piece of paper, closed area that is defined by other elements of art. Circles, triangles, squares, these are geometric, mathematically defined shapes. Teardrops, lakes, these are all organic shapes we might find in nature. Either way, a shape is not simply a line, it's a closed space. Next, we're going to talk about value. Value is not money.
All right, we're going to come back to our paper right here and we'll work on that next section, shapes. So I hear when he said shapes, there's some that are geometrical. They can be done with math, circles, triangles, squares, stars, rectangles, and then there's shapes that we find naturally in nature. A puddle or a lake, teardrops or raindrops, all different things. Might even come across a crack in a window. These are organic shapes, shapes that don't have mathematical equations that can create them. So the next one we're going to go to is value. And when he talks about value on this video, he says there's different types of pencils. If you notice on my pencil right here, it says 2HB. It's okay if you just have one type of pencil. What I really want you to think about is creating that light to dark. So one thing he talks about is filling up the space. So I press hard at the top and then I lighten up on my grip as I come down. I still keep it nice and wide. And with the same pencil, I can create that light to dark. Don't worry about what he says in terms of using different types of pencils for right now, unless you have different types of pencils. Sometimes in the art studio, we do use different types of pencils, but really want you to get the hang of feeling what it feels like to press hard at first and then lighten up. But keep that same rectangular width the whole way down. Okay, so let's take a look at what he does on his.
It is the lightness or darkness of an object. And to create that, we have to use different tools. This pencil is an HB pencil. It's about middle hardness or softness for lead. There are different types of drawing pencils with different types of lead. 2B, see how it's darker. 2H gets a little bit lighter. 4H, even lighter. B means softer. It creates darker lines. H means harder. It creates lighter lines. Either way, you're going to create a value range. And we're going to try to make a rectangle, not a little tornado. So start pressing harder and then getting lighter and lighter. You can use different pencils to experiment, going from dark to light, but don't make that squiggly little tornado where you can't even see it. So in this box, create a nice value range, going from dark to light, using different types of pencils and different types of pressures to create that nice value range from dark to light, light to dark. Next is color, an element of art derived from reflected light. We're going to start with our primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. These create all the other colors. And starting at the top, for no reason, you can start with whatever color. We're going to start with red, but start with red, then blue, and make a triangle with yellow. Next, we're going to pull out our secondary colors, orange, green, and violet. Yellow and blue mixed to green, red and yellow mixed to orange, and blue and red mixed to violet. And these create all the other colors, but they have to be in this order or it's not correct. Texture. Let's look at this table. It looks
All right, let's try it on our paper for the color section. And don't worry, we might not finish all this week. We're going to work on this for a couple weeks, learning about our elements of art. So in my color section, remember the first thing that he says is important that we start with is that we just start with red, blue, and yellow, our primary colors. So I have my red, blue, yellow. So then those are my primaries. Now I go to my secondaries. It takes two primaries to make one secondary. So a lot of you remember this, blue and yellow, it makes green. Yellow and red, orange. Red and blue, purple. That's our color wheel. And we're going to come back to this a little bit later in the next few weeks too. Because also we talked about how there's also complementary colors. So the ones that go across from each other, they complement each other. We'll talk about that later too, but this is our color wheel, our mini color wheel, so we can see that.
like wood, rough wood, but it's soft. Texture can be real or implied, and we use the elements of art to create that texture. So here we can create a grassy texture using different pressures. Here we can create a concrete, jagged look using different dots. We can create a smoother look using value. Whatever kind of texture you want to create, you can create it, or you can create real texture. Let's talk about space, not outer space. We're going to talk about space.
All right, so when we come to this one with texture, we have texture over here in the box. So one thing he was saying with pressing harder and lighter and also thicker and thinner we can start to get the idea like we are creating grass, thin lines, thick lines, lighter, darker. It feels like we're walking in grass with that. Do we want to walk in something gritty or sandy? Something smooth, like a cold cement floor, cold tile floor, something smooth on our feet. Is it something more thicker dirt? Or rocks with little pebbles in between? So these are ways right on our paper that we can create texture. There's also texture when you touch things, right? So if you actually touched pebbles, or if you touch a leaf, or if you touch raindrops, that's actual physical texture, 3D form. This is texture on 2D form. Sorry for the delay, artists. 1 second here. Be working on your work as I'm doing this. Sorry for the delay again. Talking about space next. All right.
Let's talk about space, not outer space. We're going to talk about space, the emptiness or area between, around, above, below, or within objects. Create a box around this definition. Connect like corners. Then we can use the elements of art to create different objects, different lines, different colors that create depth in this space. It makes it look three-dimensional, but it is not three-dimensional yet. This is just a flat drawing on paper. But then we have a...
All right. That was quick. So let's take a look at how he did that. Because I know a lot of you like to create that kind of depth and dimension in your artwork. So if you have a rectangle already drawn on your paper right here, we are just going to draw a smaller rectangle within that rectangle. And then you're going to connect the corners of your rectangle to the outside corners of the larger rectangle. So it's almost like you're creating a room where you're looking in. You make a parallel line to the one in the back. You might create a little carpet or rug. You might create a window on the wall, and it's using different shapes to do that. He also did something where what is closer to you is what's darker. So this side of the wall is yellow. And how do I know I'm going back in space? Well, the farther away it gets, the lighter it gets. You can go ahead and experiment with that a little bit. Might also have something like a ceiling fan or something like that. Okay.
A form. This paper, it's three-dimensional. It's not as flat as you might think it is. But a form is anything that has 3 dimensions, height, width, and depth. So take the paper, cut it up, glue it together, stick it on the paper. As long as it sticks out from the paper, you've created a form. So let's go ahead, clean up, put away your supplies. We've talked about these 7 elements of art: line, shape, value, texture, color, space, and form. You can use these now to create any amazing artwork you want to.
All right. Great job, everybody. So I think one thing we can think about is doing this over the next couple weeks. Another thing I want you to think about is These are things that are always a part of our artwork. So no matter what we're creating, we want to keep these ideas in mind. And whenever we look at artwork, if we go to a museum, if we see somebody's work hanging up, we can look at how they use all these different elements of art to create their art piece. There's other things called the principles of design, which are also a part of artwork, and we'll be learning about them too. But for now, let's finish up with our form. Now you might have a piece of paper that you can use to actually glue this on. There's another way to show form, something that it looks 3D, like you can take a walk all the way around it, even though it's on a flat 2D surface, okay? So sometimes a form starts to look like, hey, maybe I could take a walk around this, or maybe it's a ball that's going into a hoop, and I could actually feel the roundness of this ball. Or for example, a can of soup. I could actually feel like I can hold this can in my hand. So we can practice with these kind of 3D forms that are on flat surfaces. And you can also do like in the video where he actually glued something that looks like it sticks up off the page and creates that type of form as well. So practice with that one how you like. And we'll be working on these for a couple weeks, and then we'll be using these to create our artworks. So I hope you had fun with it. And don't worry if you're not finished, or don't worry if it seemed a little bit complicated. We'll be talking about it for a while. So just take your time with it, enjoy it, and understand now you know more about the basic ingredients, right? Or the building blocks that make up all art. So proud of you. These are the elements of art. Keep up the good work. I hope you had fun with it. And I'll upload what you have so far on Seesaw so I can see your work. And we'll get back to it again more next week. All right. See you later, artists.